Guys, we've all been there. At some point you look in the mirror and say, where did my hairline go? Those power alleys in left and right center field continue to grow as you get older. Did you know that 66% of men lose their hair by age 35? Thing is, when you start noticing hair loss, maybe a little too late. You don't want that bald spot to just pop up. You want to do something about it first. That's why you need to visit 4hims.com, a one-stop shop for hair loss, skincare, and other wellness supplements for men. Thanks to science, baldness can be optional. Science. Hims connects you with real doctors and medical-grade solutions to treat hair loss. They have well-known generic equivalents to name-brand prescriptions to help you keep your hair. Look, this isn't snake oil pills or gas station counter supplements. Instead, prescription solutions backed by, again, science. No waiting room, no awkward doctor visits. Save hours by going to 4hims.com. Just answer a few questions, the doctor will review and give you a prescription, and products are shipped directly to your door. Order today and listeners get a trial month of Hims for just $5 while supplies last. See website for full details. Look, that'll cost hundreds if you went to the doctor or a pharmacy. Go to 4hims.com/wingo. That's FORHIMS.com/wingo. 4hims.com/wingo.
Great news. There's a quick way you can save money. Switch to Geico. Geico could help you get great coverage at a great price. And it only takes 15 minutes to see if you could save 15% or more on car insurance. Go to geico.com today and see how much you could save.
Working our way through a Thursday morning. Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. Presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests will join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Mike Golic, Trey Wingo here with you. Coming up, Stugotz will join us in a few minutes. Jeff Van Gundy, NBA Analyst, will join us as well. And then for the final hour, Timmy Legler.
Yeah.
Timmy Legs, L-Man, L-Train, Mullet Guy will join us. You ever see his mullet?
Yes, I did.
It was legendary.
Yeah.
His mullet, he and Barry Melrose might have had the two best mullets. Well, Yarmer Yager's probably always going to win that. Yeah. But in guys that work here, they have the two best mullets.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Barry had his a long time.
That's a very small sample group, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
But they own it. So we'll have those guys coming up. By the way, Golic and Wingo is presented by 1-800-Flowers.com. If your big Mother's Day surprise consists of a well-crafted text, then you're terrible. You got to step it up. 24 multicolored roses is a step up, plus a free vase for only $29.99 from 1-800-Flowers. To order, go to 1-800-Flowers.com and get it done.
All right, you teased this. What spilled?
Oh,
we had the chocolate spilling over the highway in Poland.
Yeah.
Over 6 lanes of a highway. They now and it hardened, so they now have to get hot water to melt the chocolate to get it off. You teased that something spilled on a highway that closed it down for days.
So we were driving from Phoenix after the Super Bowl 49 there to visit my parents in Palm Springs. And there's really one highway that gets you there. There's one highway. It's desert. There's one. I mean, there's all these side roads you can take.
There's one highway.
Yeah, there's one highway. 2 trucks collided and lit on fire. One of them was carrying steak. Another was carrying bees. And
bees?
Like bees. Tons and tons of bees. Because, beekeeping is a big deal.
Yeah.
So these 2 trucks collided, and there was steak and bees everywhere. Everywhere. I think that highway was closed for like 2 days.
Wow.
In the middle of the desert.
Steak and bees.
Just crushed it everywhere. So we had to go around through Death Valley, and we went through where Joshua Tree is and all that kind of stuff, just to find a way to get around that. I will give the California State Highway Patrol all the credit in the world. They had signs up everywhere that said, "You will not get through. Must find alternate route," because the delay, it backed up for 20 miles.
Meat and bees. I've never heard that combination.
Meat and bees trucks collided, and of course, the bees were all over what was on the highway. And there were so many bees.
Wow.
It's like that scene from Tommy Boy, save yourself. It was unbelievable. So we had to take a very circumlocuitous route to get there. But I kind of would have liked the chocolate at that point.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame you one bit there. You and me both.
It was a little interesting. So there you go. Kids, rule number 1, never have a truck full of steak collide with bees.
No.
Because it will not end well. And we get to what's trending. The Celtics beat the 76ers 114-112 to win their conference semifinal matchup in 5 games. Boston closed the game on a 9-3 run over the final minute 27.
Hey, listen, and what do you say about Jason Tatum? When Kyrie Irving went down, now they've had multiple players step up. You don't get this far when your best player is out with an injury for the playoffs and you still make it to the conference final. So between Horford and Rozier and Marcus Smart and other players that have stepped up, But for the youth of this team and Jason Tatum and what he has done now, 7 games straight in the playoffs, over 20 points, ties the rookie and Donovan Mitchell, who's done it 7 times. They both trail Lou Alcindor, who did it 10 times when he was a rookie. But it's a pretty nice grouping there of players. But the 76ers were in this one. Boston could have pulled away a couple times. They didn't. Buck and a half to go in this game, and the 76ers are holding a 4-point lead. They were right there to make this thing 3-2 and send it back to Philadelphia for Game 6. Would have started making this thing a little more interesting, but credit Boston in those tight games, which happened 3 times in this series, a game under 5 points,
right?
That they were able to win. Credit them for getting the job done. But 21 lead changes in this one. A fantastic game, a good game to end on, that's for sure.
Well, one thing that's been very consistent about the Celtics in this playoff is their ability to close and close clutch. If you look at their numbers, so far in the playoffs, the Celtics have shot 18 of 24, 64% in the final 2 minutes when the score is within 5 points. Yeah. So they've been making their shots when it was very, very clutch. By the way, real quickly, an update on that B story. It wasn't steak, it was frozen chickens. I just remember it was frozen chicken. So it was a meat truck. It was a meat source. I mean, it was a mess.
Okay.
On Highway 10. So again,
thank you for the update.
Yeah, just want to make sure.
Want to be factually correct.
It's a leaner meat, but it was still a major issue. And the Yankees are a major issue for everybody right now. Brett Gardner hit the go-ahead 2-run triple, and then Aaron Judge followed that with a 2-run homer. All of that in the 8th inning as the Yankees rallied to beat the Red Sox 9-6.
You know, in this streak, we talk about the hitting of whether it's Gregorius or Sanchez or Judge, Stanton occasionally as well. You look at Judge last year in all the games against the Red Sox. In all the games, he had 2 home runs and 5 RBIs. Already this year, and in the amount of times they've met, he has 2 home runs and 5 RBIs.
Crazy.
So already matched that, with what he's done. But Gardner with the big hit last night before the Judge home run. But I'll say it again, it's been the pitching. You know, they're the best ERA in baseball since April 21st when they started the 17-1 run, going from 461 to 228, and great hitting to back it up as well. So hottest team in baseball without question for, that lowly lowest payroll, or 7th, I should say, 7th payroll, ranked 7th in Major League Baseball. Usually they're 1 or 2. With the Dodgers sometimes being 1, they're being 1 or 2. They're sitting at 7 right now, but playing great.
Yeah, they're 17-1 over their last 18 games. The last time that happened was 1953 when they had guys like Yogi Berra, Mickey Mantle, and Phil Rizzuto and Billy Martin in their lineup. So this is sort of what we're seeing from the Yankees, and they've won 11 straight home games. Well, then there's this in Detroit. Lions head coach Matt Patricia says in a statement that he was falsely accused in a 1996 sexual assault while a student at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. Patricia was 21 and on spring break in South Padre Island, Texas, when the alleged assault occurred. He and a teammate were indicted by a grand jury on 1 count of aggravated sexual assault, but the charge was dismissed in 1997. The incident resurfaced in a story published by the Detroit News. In a statement released late Wednesday, Patricia said he was never given the opportunity to defend myself and clear my name. I firmly maintain my innocence, as I have always done. Lions owner Martha Ford, President Rod Wood, and General Manager Bob Quinn also released a statement saying they have spoken to Patricia at length about what happened, as well as the attorney who represented him at the time, and have accepted their first-year coach's explanation, and they are standing by him. And Matt Patricia will be speaking with the media, we believe, later on today. Yeah, again, indicted, never tried the case. As you mentioned, charges were dismissed in 1997. This was someone in the media that found this out, right? Lest anybody believe it's the young lady from when this happened. It's not. Yeah. But 21 years ago, this coming up, and I'm sure Matt Patricia will be talking about this again today. But as Trey mentioned, the Lions are aware and didn't know about it then, aware obviously, and talked to him about it now, and does not change their feeling of him leading this team going forward. And the Detroit News said they tried to get in touch with the woman who brought the allegation several times, and they could not get in touch with her. So anyway, that's the story there, and we'll see how that plays out going forward in Detroit. Meanwhile, we continue here on Golic and Wingo, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and then, of course, there is Stugotz from the Dan Le Batard, who joins us now. I'm always curious where you're going to take us with the first thing out of your mouth, Stu. So where do you want to start off today?
I mean, you guys feeling a little slow today this morning, Trey? How you feeling? How you feeling, Mike? How you guys doing? Let's start there. Let's start with your hangover.
Let's put it this way. This will be a really good day to start at 10. I would imagine, Stugotz, that when you guys have a show outing, and I know you guys have done it to like Heat games and things like that it can get going pretty good as well.
Yeah, but as Trey just kind of pointed out there, we start at 10, Mike, not at 6 a.m. So
that's a win for you guys. For us. That's a win for you guys.
And then listen, And for many years, we used to be in the afternoon. So we would do our show from 3 to 7, and then we would just go out and do our event after that, and then I'd have to wake up till 1 in the afternoon the next day. So, but I will tell you this. Many a show, many a morning, as you know, Mike Golic, me and your son, Mike Golic Jr., did weekend observations on ESPN Radio, 7 to 9 a.m. every Sunday. And if we weren't hungover, the audience was very disappointed in us.
Yeah, I think the highlight of that show was Mike was at a wedding in New York and basically missed the first hour and a half of the show because he didn't get up from the wedding and the festivities the night before.
Yes, it was probably my favorite show that we did on the weekends. It was the hunt for Mike Golic Jr. We had you on the show. You weren't even concerned as his dad as to where he was. He was basically missing for about 18 hours, but eventually, you're right, we found him at 8:30 with about 18 minutes of content left on the show. Mike Golic Jr. swooped in and helped me out, Mike. That
still counts as a day. You got those 18 minutes in. It's like
paid for the entire 2 hours, Trey.
Yeah. That's like in the NFL. How many games can I miss before I actually get accredited my year toward free agency? Right. So he got the check. Okay. So listen, we got Tiger and Phil paired today at the Players. At TPC. We had Nota Begay on earlier. How pumped are you to watch how these two play together today?
Very excited. I can't wait to see it today and tomorrow, Trey. So for golf fans like me and you, this is great. This is great, right? This is what we want to see. I love what, and Trey, I'm interested in your thoughts. I'm interested in both your guys' thoughts on this. I thought what Phil said, like, hey, let's just fast forward to the final round, me and Tiger. That's what everyone wants to see. He's right. It's what I want to see. I would love to see. How do you guys feel about this? Like a high stakes, we had the Skins game when I was growing up, but I'm thinking differently here. I'm thinking just Tiger and Phil. Someone put up a couple of $1 million. Let those two guys play around prime time if we can figure that out. But here's what I would like, a little wrinkle to this. I want these guys mic'd up. I want them to act as normal as they possibly can, like they're just out on the course on a Saturday afternoon with no one around. And I want them to have the ability to bet on any single thing they want to bet on. But I want to hear them have those conversations as they're doing it. Meaning, if they're both 150 out, Trey, I want Tiger to go to Phil and say, hey, $10,000 closest to the pin. Let's go right now.
Oh, well, a couple of things. First of all, Stugotz is with us from the Dan Le Batard Show. I once followed Phil at a practice round at the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach. I think he was practicing with Dustin Johnson, and I can't remember who the third member of the practice group was. That happened on every shot. I mean, they were double. I mean, they would really go to the next hole and say, okay, what do you want to bet on this hole? How do you want to play it? So that absolutely should happen. And Stugotz, don't you remember we had these things like in the early 2000s? I think David Duval and Tiger played once, the duel in the desert. We had the showdown at Sherwood, and they actually brought out lights on the golf course. Al Michaels did the play-by-play, and he was like, night golf. We are in heaven. I am so in on this. In fact, we put it up on our Twitter poll yesterday, what should they play for? And with 55% of the vote, Golic and I came to the agreement of that this should be included, that the loser has to get the other guy's face tattooed on his butt.
Oh, I love that. Yes, I want stakes like that. But Trey, you were close enough where you could actually hear the conversations. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we were walking along inside the ropes trying to figure out. I mean, it was fascinating. I mean, they were betting on every single thing. It was tremendous.
All right, so I want them mic'd up because I want to hear that because I think it would be fascinating for other people to hear. But, Mike, because we know golf is a bit, it tends to be an older sport. Like, it's older people are watching that thing. Don't you think if you had Tiger and Phil just talking trash, betting on every single shot, Mike, that would draw in a younger audience and we can hear their conversations as they're doing it in real time?
Oh, listen, I think it was fantastic. I used to love watching the Skins game. I said that should have been the golfer's own money. I said it shouldn't have been, money from somewhere else. And you can't deal. The bets are cool. I get it. But really with these guys, one's worth $740 million. The other's worth $365 million. So there's not a lot, but it would be fun to hear. I grant you that. But outside of them getting a permanent tattoo, which they wouldn't want to do, I think another good bet would be the loser that next week or the next tournament they play has to caddy for the winner the entire tournament. How great would that be? Seeing one of them carrying the bag for the other.
No, I think that'd be great. I love how you're thinking here. So you're thinking the money doesn't really matter to those guys, even though it does, even though 150 out. I mean, listen, if they put 10 grand, 150 out, you're right. The money doesn't mean anything. It's the pride of hitting the shot and being closer than the other that will really get the other guy going. So, but I like where you guys are headed here, where there are stakes that could potentially embarrass Phil Mickelson and Tiger Woods. I like that. It's kind of like sports radio bets, right?
Do you yeah, we can get to one of those. Do you like
massage?
Do you like the fact that We hear about the kinder, gentler two of them now that they're getting along now. We had Nota Begay on earlier, talked about years ago when there was tension between the two, that the three of them, Nota Begay, Tiger Woods, and Phil Mickelson, all ended up, just the three of them, on an elevator, and there was not one word spoken. Nota Begay said the tension was unbelievable. Would you rather, and they're paired together for at least these first 2 days, would you rather it still be like that, or do you like the fact now that they're kind of getting along?
No, I think, listen, there's enough hate to go Patrick Reed's way that we don't need to really, I'm fine with that. Like, he's the villain on the PGA Tour now, and I'm good with that. I don't know. I kind of like this. Like, listen, I like the rivalry when they were younger. I certainly did. I like the fact that those guys, as competitors, did not speak to one another. I felt like Phil probably like, hey, if that guy, Tiger, wasn't here, I'd be winning all these majors, and that, I think, bothered Phil a lot. But no, I kind of like where they've arrived. Trey, how do you feel about that? I kind of like where they've arrived here in their 40s where, it's kind of come full circle here and they're friendly moving forward. I kind of like that, a mutual respect for each other and each other's games. I kind of like it.
No, I do too. And I think it's sort of natural. I mean, as you get a little older that you look at things from a different perspective. Sure. And I think when Phil won, actually, the World Golf Championship, one of the first texts he got was from Tiger Woods because they had both not won since 2013 before he won in March. I think it's cool. My favorite thing, by the way, about this idea of this match between them, Phil said the line, well, we play for something, but we want to play for something we play for some money, but not something that would make either one of us uncomfortable. And Tiger's response was, I'll play for whatever would make Phil uncomfortable.
What would make him uncomfortable?
Ramping it up a notch right there. I thought that was very cool.
Yes, and also, see, I like this feisty Tiger Woods. It's like, Mike, I always say, as we get older, we care less. Like, my dad has given up on stuff. Like, he doesn't care. He'll say anything. He'll just let it fly. He doesn't care about his ear hair anymore. Tiger has arrived at a point, I'm telling you, in his 40s where he just doesn't care. He's just letting it fly. I like that. Yes, bet an amount of money that will make Phil uncomfortable, whatever that amount is. Tiger would not have said that 10 years ago. None of this.
No
Anything
chance.
He's doing right now is right. He would never have said any of this stuff 5-10 years ago. So it's nice to see. It's fun. You're getting something that's closer to the real Tiger Woods.
All right, Stugotz, in basketball, two teams whose seasons are now over and their coaches. Dwayne Casey from the Raptors, Brett Brown from the 76ers. Should they be fired? Either, neither, or both?
Man, I would say neither. Listen, what are they going to do? Like, LeBron James is sitting there. He's the best player in the world. What is Dwayne Casey supposed to do? I know the Raptors, they geared their whole season towards, taking on the Cavs, and they got swept in 4 games, and that's embarrassing. But what are you supposed to do when the greatest player in the world at the age of 33 is still the greatest player in the world and hitting circus shots? Literally ridiculous circus horse-type shots. The game horse that you play, where you're throwing it up in the air, it's hitting the ceiling, and it's coming down, going off the backboard, and it's going in. What is Dwayne Casey supposed to do about that? There's nothing he can do. So, I think he's done a tremendous job. I think both guys should keep their job. I think the reality in sports, where it's a win-now culture, guys, you guys know this, that one, if not both of those guys, unfortunately, are going to get fired. Brett Brown did as good a job as you could do with that team. Here's the funny thing about the Sixers, right? They got as far as they were probably supposed to get this year. Like, if Kyrie Irving's healthy and Gordon Hayward's healthy, there's no way they're supposed to win that series. But the expectations change when those two go down, and now everyone's getting on Brown in Philadelphia. I think both guys are deserving of keeping their job. Unfortunately, I think at least one of those two guys is going to lose their jobs. But what are they supposed to do? I mean, they're going up against the best player in the world. I love what Dwayne Casey said. We're just going to have to ride this thing out. Eventually, LeBron will not be playing this well. We'll just have to ride it out, and we want to be the team that's there and ready to deliver when LeBron's past his prime.
Well,
I love that.
They've been saying that for about 10 years in the AFC East as well. Well, eventually Brady will slow down. But just so you know,
10 years. It's been 15 years, Trey. I'm a Jet fan.
The guy who is that crazy fan is Cliff. Cliff wants Brett Brown fired. Yeah, you believe that?
Right. Well, no, I can believe that, but he just wants Jay Wright. He wants Jay Wright, right? That's hard to resist Jay Wright, isn't it?
So in other words, Cliff is still being this guy.
Cliff, for crying out loud! So your teams, Stugotz, the Jets and the Mets. How about your Mets in that lineup discrepancy? How about the batting out of order? How bad can it get in the first inning?
Well, listen, when you're a Met fan, nothing will surprise you, Mike. And that, as embarrassing as that was, and it happened in the first inning. How do you do it in the first inning? How is that possible? It's the first inning of the game. I understand maybe some confusion in the 5th or the 6th, but the first inning of the game, I don't know what to tell you. Like, the Mets they're a complete embarrassment. But at least, okay, they did something good this week. At least they traded Matt Harvey to the worst team in Major League Baseball. That was a good job out of the New York Mets. That's how you do it.
And Stugotz, let's finish it. We don't have time to play because I would just embarrass you anyway. But it's going to, listen, it's going to happen.
I got Roy right here. He's ready to go.
We've got questions.
All right. Okay.
All right. You want to play Old Family Feud?
Let's do a speed round. Let's do one speed round. Me and Roy versus Golic and Wingo. Can we do that?
Losers. All right, let's go. Now, how are we doing this?
Yeah.
Here's the music.
So I'm gonna go first for our team. Roy's gonna go second. Okay, going first is much easier than going second.
Yeah,
so you guys can decide your order. We'll do the speed round first, and then maybe you guys do a speed round right after.
All right, hold on, Stugotz. Stanza, can you explain to him that we don't have that much time?
Yeah,
what do
we don't have a
time
lot of
to
time. All we have time for, Stu, is just you to do the speed round.
So that's all we got time for is you to do the speed round.
All right, well, listen, we're trying people out for this game. So Roy is going to do the speed round. I don't want to waste Roy's time.
Right, here we go.
He's a very busy guy. So Roy is going to do the speed round for us.
Okay, all right, Roy, you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead.
All right, Roy, 20 seconds on the clock. Time starts after I finish reading the first question. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Name something people do right after they eat.
They belch.
Name something a lifeguard should know how to do.
Swim.
French toast is one food that has a nationality in its name. Give me another.
French fries.
Name a food you have to crack open to eat.
Egg.
Name something that you can stink up your car.
Stick up your car?
We got
no more time.
That's got to be way past 20
That
seconds.
has to be 30
He
seconds.
said cigarettes. He said cigarettes.
Did he get it in? Did he get it in before the buzzer?
We'll give it to him just because I like him. I mean, holy
He did not
smokes.
get in before the buzzer.
Horrible.
He gets no credit for cigarettes.
First question. Name something people do right after they eat. He said belch.
Yeah.
That's 20 points.
All right, 20 points. Right.
Yes.
Nice.
Was that the number one answer?
No, it was not.
Okay.
Number 2, name something a lifeguard should know how to do. He said swim. Correct?
Yes.
Yep.
51 points. Number
There you
one
go.
answer.
Very nice, Roy. Well done.
French toast, one food that has a nationality in its name. Give me another. He said French fries. 46 points. Number one answer.
Nice.
Whoa!
Name a food you have to crack open to eat. He said what?
Eggs.
Eggs. Egg was number 2 answer, 16 points.
Okay.
All right.
And name something that can stink up your car.
We didn't get this one,
You
so it
didn't
doesn't
get
matter.
it. Cigarettes.
Cigarettes.
was the right answer.
Cigarettes is number one. I almost don't think you got the fourth one in time.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think the answers were great, but I think that 20 seconds was more like 20 minutes.
I agree. Stugotz, you're going to have something to work out there with Roy because the answers were very good, but the timing was awful. So you guys are going to have to work that out amongst yourselves for second place because Golic and Wingo, we're going to beat you guys anyway.
I was about to say the time alone, we're destroying you. I mean, that's easy.
Listen, that's fine.
Your score
Roy did
was
so well, the
130.
second person doesn't even have to go.
Your score was 133.
All right, so just real quick, because we don't have time to play, what was the number one answer on something you crack open to eat if it wasn't eggs?
A crab.
Peanuts.
Peanuts. I was going to say crab.
Wow.
Okay.
And
Crab would have been 2 points.
what was French fries was number one? Was French fries number one?
Yes.
What was number 2 on that list?
Spanish rice.
Spanish
Oh,
rice.
I was going to go Belgian waffle.
Spanish
That was
omelet?
number 3.
Is Spanish omelet on there?
No.
No?
And also the first question, Spanish omelet.
I don't know.
Never heard of that in my life.
Yeah, name something people do right after they eat. Number one answer was smoke.
Ah.
Really?
Roy said Belch. You got number 2. Roy is a good job. Roy did a good job.
Roy did a good job. I questioned that the number one answer most people don't have to eat is smoke.
You're going to question the answers. It's the answer.
It's
For God's
smoke?
sake.
Did we go to France for this?
Hey,
We can go to break.
hey,
Did we go
Stugotz,
somewhere?
Wingo may not even be on the Golic and Wingo team the way this is going. We'll see you.
Smoke. Get out of here.
Smokes.
Coming
Roy
up.
destroyed you.
No.
Roy destroyed all of you.
In a minute and a half. Coming
God,
up,
that's
our
horrific.
next guest once said that no one would beat the Warriors this year, and then he said the Rockets might be able to. So where does he actually stand on all of this?
Hey everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for the Golic Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Ryan! I don't know how else to say this, so I'll just say it.
What is it, Linda?
I think we should see other people.
Are you breaking up with me? On a roller coaster?
Well, we do have a lot of fun. Maybe we should stay together.
An emotional roller coaster? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
I just need a little me time.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Golic and Wingo with you as we're rolling through a Thursday morning, as we finally got to where we thought we were all going to be with the conference finals in the East. I think a lot of people thought it would be Boston and Cleveland, no matter what sort of went on during the season. And I think everybody in the world thought it was going to be Houston and Golden State in the West. And for more on this, we're delighted to be joined now by Jeff Van Gundy, our fine ESPN NBA analyst. Jeff, you've sort of went a little bit back and forth on Houston versus Golden State during the season. You thought Houston had a chance. They have the number one seed. They have home court advantage. How do you see this Western Conference final playing out right now?
Well, it's really the finals, right? So whoever wins this is going to win the whole thing, and I think it's going to be fascinating. I think Golden State has a little bit more overall talent, but I think Houston has a hunger advantage that Golden State really can't match because of all their success over the last 3 years. And I think home court advantage eventually will pay off, and Houston will win in 7.
Wow. Oh, so you are going with Houston.
Wow.
That's interesting. I think that's going to be in the minority of picks, but certainly a heck of a pick. As far as in breaking these down, we had Timmy Legler on the other day, and I asked him about, okay, let's look at these two series and let's look at matchup potential. And he said in the NBA of today, you don't talk about matchups anymore because teams just screen and switch, and you can create kind of what you want, a mismatch, so to speak. Can you expound upon that? Is that what we're seeing now in the NBA?
Well, switching is certainly more in vogue, and not just on, pick and roll actions. It's off the ball as well. And I think offenses, after the switch occurs, teams play different. You'll see a noticeable difference between how Houston plays after they get the matchup they want and Golden State. Golden State, for the most part, will continue to move the ball, pass, cut, screen, not allowing the switch to stagnate them, whereas you'll see Houston right away, Harden and Paul will isolate, and they'll dribble, and test your switcher, usually a big guy, if he can, guard the ball against a Hall of Fame type guard. And so it's fascinating to see the two approaches offensively. The common denominator, the common thread, is that they both create quality shots.
No, they certainly do. Jeff Van Gundy with us, our NBA analyst. I want to go back to you said Houston in 7. Just out of curiosity, but is home court the thing that you think will dictate this, or do you think there's something else in the matchups or the way that Houston plays gives them the advantage over Golden State?
Man, I'm just guessing. I got no clue, right? So if somebody would have said, hey, I think Golden State will win in 5, I'd say, hey, that's a heck of a pick. Or Golden State in 6, or, it's like, to me, the beauty of it is we don't know.
Yeah.
I think the proven nature of Golden State is probably why most people, they got Durant and Curry now back with Thompson and very good defense. But I think Houston's defense is underrated. Now, they're a team that'll switch 1 through 5 on most actions, and it's confounded a lot of teams this year. They're a very good defensive team. I'm going to be interested to watch, though, when they switch an initial action, can they stay with it for 24 seconds? Because it's different. Like if Clint Capella is guarding a pick and roll and he switches it, and his guy tries to take him one-on-one, that's one thing. He's got very good feet. But can he have the discipline against Golden State where they don't try to go one-on-one right away and they keep moving the ball, cutting and screen? Can they make the second and third and fourth switches that they want to do correctly? And can he maintain his, defensive discipline? I just can't wait to watch. But frankly, no clue about who's going to win.
Jeff, over in the East, at the beginning of the season with Gordon Hayward healthy and obviously Kyrie, Boston ending up in the conference finals, I don't think was too shocking, but you lose Hayward right out of the gate, no Kyrie in the playoffs, yet they're still in the conference finals. What have been a couple of the things in your mind that have put them in position to be where they are right now?
Well, they're a great defensive team with exceptional length. So they moved on from Bradley and Crowder and Isaiah Thomas, and they've gotten bigger at every position. And so now they were a very good defensive team last year. They're an absolute elite defensive team this year. I think they're much better equipped to guard Cleveland this year for many reasons. Their improvements and Cleveland's, I don't know, can you say disimprovements? Whatever, their regression.
They're devolving?
They're not as good. So I think they're just much better equipped, to guard Cleveland. I think the question for Boston is Cleveland's been a very bad defensive team, and then they got steeled a little bit against Indiana, and then I was shocked that they swept Toronto. But they played well, and defensively they were much more active and alert. And so I'll be interested to see if Boston can score enough. But I think everyone's got it like a little bit backwards. I don't see it as – I would pick Boston. If you made me give a pick, I'd pick Boston in this series.
Wow. Listen, it's interesting. They will have home court, but it's just so hard, Jeff, to go against LeBron when you see what he's doing. It's funny, the discussion is always, Jordan, LeBron. I feel like this year people are finally appreciating LeBron in a different way, even though there's probably zero chance he's actually going to win a ring this year because of what he's doing with what he's got around him.
It reminds me a lot of the first time he went to the finals.
Yeah.
Right? They didn't have a lot. They didn't have a great roster, but he was unbelievable in that Detroit series, getting them to, the finals against San Antonio. And I think it's the same thing right now. I think he's got guys playing very well right now, but they are limited athletically and talent-wise. It's really remarkable. And the thing about the Jordan-James comparison to me is, comparison can many times be the thief of joy, because when you say one's better than the other one, then you're seeming to denigrate the other guy and his accomplishment.
Right.
I don't know why we can't just say, both are unbelievable, like certainly of the all-time best. And listen, Toronto, everybody's given them grief about getting swept, and they lost 2 tough games. And the shot James made to end Game 3, that was one for the ages. That is an impossible shot. That was very well defended by Toronto. And I was saying to somebody the other day, you become an all-time great because you win those type of series. Right? If you didn't win those type of series, you wouldn't be an all-time great. And like James once again proves why he's an all-time great.
Jeff, let's go to a couple of head coaching questions. First, when there are firsts in a sport, they're always headlined and talked about. Becky Hammon, the assistant coach for San Antonio, getting an interview with Milwaukee, first time for a woman getting an interview for a head coaching job in the NBA, and then the potential of her being a head coach in the NBA. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I've seen her twice in a practice setting with San Antonio when I've watched them in practice, and she was good on the practice floor. They have a great coaching staff. Obviously, everyone knows about Pop, but Coach Messina, James Borrego just got the job in Charlotte, Ime Udoka, Chip England. They got a great staff. It's hard. There's so many qualified assistants who've done it for a long time and are dying not only just to get an interview, but to get that one chance. And I don't think she'll get one right now because I don't think she has been on a bench yet. I think that would be the next step for her. But I give San Antonio and her a lot of credit in that when you're trying to break through a barrier for equality, it's a challenge. And, Milwaukee giving her the opportunity to interview, I think sends a signal to everyone that everyone, if qualified, has a chance at these coveted jobs.
Absolutely. Look, it's the first step in what could be an historic process going forward. We'll see how that plays out and what the next thing, as you alluded to, maybe being on a bench going forward will be the next thing for her in her quest to eventually maybe get a chance to be a head coach in the NBA. Jeff, as always, we appreciate it. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Thanks, Jeff.
You got it.
AARP can help you become your healthiest self. It's why we offer health tips for your body and your brain. So take on today and every day with AARP. Learn how at takeontoday.aarp.
Minor League Baseball, in between innings, they always do these crazy things.
Oh, yeah.
There was a toddler race. 2- and 3-year-olds?
There.
3 of them out there. A toddler race. Do you know what was happening where we were sitting? Bets.
Yeah.
There was money on the table betting on toddlers. This is what we were doing.
We found a new low.
Toddler number 3 really let me down.
Whole lot of issues. Sports Center brought to you by 1-800-Flowers.com. If your big Mother's Day surprise consists of one well-crafted text message, you got issues. You got to step it up. Right now, you can get 24 multicolored roses plus a free vase starting at $29.99. For details, go to 1-800-Flowers.com. Click the radio icon, enter the code WINGO.
All right, so that the rejoin that we just played from Golic and Wingo there was from earlier today, because yesterday we had our big corporate outing.
Yes, we did.
We went out to the minor league Yard Goats game.
Yes, we did.
Here in Hartford, and they played the Binghamton Rumble Ponies, where Tim Tebow was on that squad. He didn't start in the game, unfortunately, but he did come in and play.
Yes, he did.
But it was a great time, and we had a great time. Maybe too much of a great time.
I'd say a little too much.
But one of the things that made it a great time was they have the pitch clock.
Yes, they do.
It's going there in 20 seconds, so it moved pretty quickly.
Yes, it did.
Things were going fast.
Yes, it was.
It was a fast, fun time at a minor league game.
Right.
The same cannot be said for what happened last night in hockey. The Lehigh Valley Phantoms and the Charlotte Checkers played the longest game in AHL history.
Ever.
5 overtimes. Alex Krushelnyski scored 6:48 into the 5th overtime period, giving the Lehigh Valley Phantoms the Game 4 win in the Calder Cup playoff series between the affiliates of the Flyers and the Carolina Hurricanes.
6 hours and 6 minutes.
6 and 6.
That is amazing.
I mean, this is the AHL's been around for 82 years.
Yeah.
And the Phantoms goalie, Alex Lyon, I'm assuming, or Lyon, if he's French.
Okay.
Finished with 94 saves on 95 shots.
That's unreal.
Well, here's the craziest part about it. Okay, the previous longest game in AHL history was also a 5 overtime game between the Philadelphia Phantoms and the Albany River Rats. The Philadelphia Phantoms no longer exist. They are now the Lehigh Valley Phantoms.
Oh, there you go.
And the Albany River Rats no longer exist because they moved to Charlotte.
Come on.
They moved to Charlotte. So the Albany River Rats are now the Charlotte Checkers, and the Lehigh Valley Phantoms were the Philadelphia Phantoms.
Oh, that's a great stat.
So
right
the
there.
2 longest games in AHL history were both 5 overtimes, essentially between the same 2 organizations.
That is amazing.
That is insane.
That is really amazing. The Phantoms had a 95-53 advantage in shots on goal.
Oh, my God.
95-53 advantage.
So, Alex Lyon, a tip of the goalie mask to you, sir.
You're going with Lyon.
Well, it just seems right.
I'm with you.
Lyon.
Okay. That's cool.
Maybe we'll just call him Alan Ovechkin.
Yeah.
But it's 95 shots, and he stopped 94.
Just that physical of a game.
That's
6 hours and 6 minutes.
How tight. Look, what was the longest game you played in the NFL?
Well, I mean,
Did you play an overtime game?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
and how exhausting was one overtime?
I see. Quite honestly, I never thought it was that exhausting for the amount of time you play out there.
Yeah.
But I get it. I mean, I did a college game that went to 6 overtimes. Now, overtime in colleges consists of starting at the 25-yard line.
It's not really overtime.
It's not like a full overtime period in overtime hockey.
Overtime hockey in the playoffs, I'm not sure there's anything more strenuous.
Or exciting.
Yeah.
Or exciting, which, again, we're getting tonight, hopefully, with the Jets and the Predators in Game 7. I cannot wait for that. Can only pray there's overtime for that one.
Right. And by the way, the game started, there were 6,000 people in the stands.
Right.
It ended with like 100. I mean, kudos to those that at some point, when would you have bailed?
And
on a 5 overtime game.
Ended at 1:09. Well, how many people had to go to work?
Yeah. At what point would you say, I got to pull the ripcord here? At what point watching that game, even if you were all invested as the biggest Checker or Phantom fan in the world, at what point do you say, I got to go?
If you're one of the biggest fans, then you're not pulling the ripcord. You're one of those 100 that are there.
I mean, kudos to them. As much as we tip the cap to Alex Leone, to those 100 or so that stayed, and if you showed up at work today, good for you.
Absolutely right.
Good for you.
By the way, it's lying.
Yeah, it is?
Yeah.
Are you sure you're not lying?
No.
Damn it. Here we go. Hey, like we said, is Peyton Manning coming back to the NFL? We'll have that discussion plus a former Sixer. Stay with us.
Got Clippers!
Guys, we've all been there. At some point, you look in the mirror and say, where did my hairline go? Those power alleys in left and right center field continue to grow as you get older. Did you know that 66% of men lose their hair by age 35? Thing is, when you start noticing hair loss, maybe a little too late. You don't want that bald spot to just pop up. You want to do something about it first. That's why you need to visit 4hims.com, a one-stop shop for hair loss, skincare, and other wellness supplements for men. Thanks to science, baldness can be optional. Science. Hims connects you with real doctors and medical-grade solutions to treat hair loss. They have well-known generic equivalents to name-brand prescriptions to help you keep your hair. Look, this isn't snake oil pills or gas station counter supplements. Instead, prescription solutions backed by, again, science. No waiting room, no awkward doctor visits. Save hours by going to 4hims.com. Just answer a few questions, the doctor will review and give you a prescription, and products are shipped directly to your door. Order today and listeners get a trial month of Hims for just $5 while supplies last. See website for full details. Look, that'll cost hundreds if you went to the doctor or a pharmacy. Go to 4hims.com/wingo. That's FORHIMS.com/wingo. 4hims.com/wingo.
Decking, railing, lighting, furniture, fencing, framing. At Trex, we make the most in outdoor living because you deserve to get more from your life outdoors. So why not start bringing your ideas to life now with the brand that's engineering what's next? To learn more about all of the outdoor solutions Trex has to offer, or to find a local retailer or a certified Trex Pro deck builder near you, visit Trex.com. That's TREX.com.
Glad you're with us on a Thursday morning. Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio and ESPN News, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And then there's our guy, Tim. Timmy! NBA analyst Timmy Legler joins us in studio, giving us a straight talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. This is when you know you got a true friend.
Yeah.
Because Legs is here, and he's like, you know what? Can I just hang out for the hour? And we're like, hell yeah, you can. So happy to have you along.
Did we just become best friends?
I think we
so.
did.
Are we going to do karate in the garage?
I do.
And I tell you what, we appreciate
Catalina
it.
wine mixer, baby.
we appreciate it this morning because yesterday, we talked a lot about this yesterday, going to our Golic and Wingo show outing, the whole crew. We went to the AA Hartford Yard Goats game.
Nice.
Playing the Binghamton Rumble Ponies, Tim Tebow's team. So we went out there as a group. We had way too much, a 10:30 game, way too much food, way too much drink.
That's a good time.
We had a ball, but
and that counted as work?
Well,
it was a bonding.
Okay,
it was a bonding experience.
I got you. Okay. Sounds like my kind of bonding.
The bonding that went on, the food and drink went so well that at some point in between innings, there were 3-3-year-olds out there racing. And there was money bet on it.
We bet on
our beautiful thing.
Yeah, it was
that's how it. And then
normally that's horse racing. You're talking about 3-year-olds.
Yeah, these were actual 3-year-old humans
kids
that we were betting on. It wasn't like the Run for the Roses.
No, it was not.
And our town crier Jer Bear actually, we told Tim Tebow we were going to heckle him. He was fine with it, and Jerry was incredibly
Tim Tebow.
Incredibly creative with some of the things
He's a tough guy
to
heckle, though, I would think.
Yeah.
Man.
And he just bounces off him. He's tough line.
Well,
That's
like
what I'm
he said,
saying.
he was on the show with us before that series started. He said, it's not like you're going to say anything I haven't heard.
That's probably
true.
Plus,
we're messing around. People that are really trying to get under his skin, I would say it's a pretty difficult thing to do.
But with a guy like Tebow, I think you'd have to watch the profanity. You know what I mean? You'd feel a little weird using profanity.
Some people
Tebow.
won't. Some people did that to Reggie White all the time. Again, the late, great Reggie White, my teammate in Philly, you could swear around him, but don't swear at him.
Well, who would swear at Reggie White?
People,
I mean, let's be honest.
Drunk people in the stands. Timmy, it happened all the time.
Beer muscles are the best.
It happened all the time.
They're like Twitter muscles.
People on the road swearing and yelling at him on the road. It was unreal. We would just sit there just shaking our head saying, unbelievable. So I'm sure people do it to Tebow all the time.
Timmy Legler with us in studio. You once said you preferred baseball to basketball growing up, right?
No question.
Yeah.
It was my sport.
That was your first love?
Well, my dad was a baseball coach. My dad coached baseball for 30 years.
I did not
so
know
I was
that.
born into a baseball family. that was what I was certain I was going to do when I was about 7, 8 years old. I was going to play Major League Baseball. It was my best sport all the way
and then
until
it just didn't happen.
It was my best sport, honestly, probably all the way up until about age 17, when I was finishing up high school.
Now, were you a pitcher or a hitter?
Yeah.
I was a relief pitcher. I threw straight gas. I had one pitch as hard as I could. And then I played third base.
What were you clocked at? I'm just curious.
I could get into the low 90s.
Really?
Yeah, low 90s in high
Lefty
school.
or righty?
Right-handed.
Okay.
Third base.
Lefty, low 90s, you're probably still in the majors.
Yeah, I picked my high school specifically because they were just a powerhouse in the state of Virginia. In fact,
really?
I played on a baseball team in high school my junior and senior year that at the time people argued might have been the greatest team in the history of the state. We had 7, 8 guys go Division I. Off of that team, we had 3 major league players on that team.
Wow.
2 guys played in the Olympic team. So that's why I went to that high school. And,
so why the switch then?
Honestly, a huge growth spurt got me kind of, all right, I'll try basketball.
Big enough to play.
And what I fell in love with basketball was I kind of had an addictive work ethic. And, so the fact that I could just go on my own and work on my game as long as I wanted to, kind of found that to be something I really took to. With baseball, you need other people.
Right.
Basketball, you didn't. You need a ball, a pair of sneakers, and you could find a hoop anywhere, and then I could just go play all day. And I had such an obsessive work ethic that I just really took to the game because I believed that I could make myself as good as I wanted to be.
You know what? I bet you he'd heard of beef.
Beef. CJ
Balance,
McCollum
elbow,
in here.
eyes, follow through.
That's it.
There you go.
You got it.
He said that to us yesterday. You got to work on your beef, and we're like, wait, what?
We had no idea what he was
Never heard that
talking
before in my
about.
life.
But that was great for kids.
I'll have to get TJ come out and do beef at my basketball camp.
Yeah, there you go.
That was
South
amazing.
Jersey. It's not far from Wells Fargo.
There you go.
There you go.
That was very, very solid. No, CJ McCollum. Not
CJ McCollum.
Oh, I thought you said TJ McConnell.
CJ McCollum.
CJ, TJ. Okay.
Yeah, I get it.
One of those.
I get it.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, if you were a lefty, here's why I think you would still be playing. The standard for just being a left-handed pitcher and being able to survive, Darren Oliver. There's no question about it. He played 20 years in the bigs. He won 20 more games than he lost. His ERA was in the mid-4s. I mean, Darren Oliver played forever. Because he was a left-hander that could throw. He played forever.
All right, real quick then, along these lines, I got to tell you a story. There's a kid on my team in high school named Mike Milchin who was the best hitter I ever saw in my life, left-handed.
Yeah.
But he threw gas.
Yeah.
So they made him a pitcher. He went to Clemson on a full ride, played in the Olympic team, played in the major leagues, but they took the bat out of his hand because he was left-handed and was such a good pitcher and threw so hard. But to me, I always say, what could this guy have been if he was allowed to play first base his entire career?
Could have been what Shohei Ohtani is right now.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But that's they always look at. Give me that left-handed pitcher. I mean, that's like finding gold. If you could find a left-handed pitcher that throws in the mid-90s, it's like Star Trek, straight track to the majors. So Timmy Legler here with us in studio. We got a lot to get to. Let's do it with what's trending. Let's start right now with the 2 best words in all of sports besides Tim Legler. Game 7 tonight in the NHL. Jets play the Predators for a spot in the conference finals to go up against the unbelievably hot expansion Golden Knights in Las Vegas.
And it's amazing. And in this stat, the natural stat trick, which I love,
which is not second spectrum.
No,
stats.
it's not.
We don't like second spectrum stats. Tim.
Over 320 minutes of 5-on-5 hockey in the 6 games of this series. Both teams have the exact same amount of shot attempts, the exact same amount of shots on goal, and only 1 goal difference in total goals, 12-11. Incredible what's going on, which I really hope means overtime hockey tonight in Game 7 in Nashville, where the catfish and the beer is going to be out. You know the Nashville O-line is going to be, or the Tennessee Titans
company will be there. Marcus Mariota.
Yeah, going to be hanging out. Going to be very, very exciting to watch.
Let's just hope for everybody's sake it's not 5 overtimes like the Calder Cup game last night. Unbelievable. Also unbelievable, the Yankees. They got 4 runs in the 8th when they were down 6-5. Brett Gardner, go-ahead 2-run triple. Then Aaron Judge clocked another one, a 2-run homer. They beat the Red Sox 9-6. They are 17-1, Mike, in their last 18
It's crazy.
games.
They got the hitting going on. We talk about that just about every single time we talk about the Yankees, but they have the pitching as well. Since this streak started in April 21st, they're the best ERA, I think, at 2.21 or 2.23 in the majors.
Yep.
You know, it's been incredible. So they're getting it every way you can, from pitching and from hitting, and it's showing in the records.
They've won 11 straight at home, and that 17-1 stretch is their best since 1953 season, when they had guys like, I don't know, Mickey Mantle, Yogi Berra.
Guys you heard of.
Yeah, some guys you might have heard of that did pretty well. So they are doing amazing things right now in the Bronx. And the first round of the Players' Championship is underway with coverage of featured groups taking place on ESPN+. Some of those featured groups include Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, and Ricky Fowler at 152. Jason Day, Sergio Garcia, Henrik Stenson, another. And what makes this field great is the top 50 golfers in the world are there.
All here, yeah, without a doubt. And again, Phil and Tiger over time, age maybe mellows you a little bit, and they're getting along now. You wonder if you would rather have the tense-filled relationship in these first couple of days when they're have the threesome going out there. Or I think it's kind of cool what's going on. Certainly, you wonder if the warm-up days of practice rounds, there was some good betting going on. That's
you guarantee that was the case. Yeah. Tim Legler with us. Were you more of a Phil guy or a Tiger guy?
I loved Phil Mickelson for a long time. How can you not be just blown away by what Tiger was doing at his peak? Yeah. And for Phil Mickelson to come out and say it was the best golf any of us have ever seen and it'll never be repeated, that's a big admission for a guy that had to go up against him and compete with him. It's hard sometimes for guys to admit those kind of things.
How often you golf?
I play a ton of golf from the time the NBA Finals are over.
Okay. But you play a lot of golf.
Until Thanksgiving.
Okay. And Trey, you obviously play a lot of golf.
Right now I'm going to try and go 3 times a week.
We drop 5 balls each on the 17th. How many hitting in the water? 137 yards it is?
3.
3 out of 5 go in the water.
Here's my game. I old man a lot of people. I miss a lot of greens, but I can get up and down from almost anywhere. So I would struggle mightily on that hole. I would probably maybe put 1 on the green.
It's amazing to me that these pros in the situation where if it were a regular approach shot on any hole, you're 137 yards away, they're knocking on the green. But put water around it, and there you go.
If you just described the hole to me, I would say I could put 4 out of 5 on the green. But the fact that I've seen what happens to these guys makes me really wonder what would happen. Yeah. Maybe 1, I guess. If I'm lucky.
I think I'd be lucky to put 1. I mean, listen, compared to you, I golf 5 times a year. That's it. Yeah. I think I'd be lucky to put 1 on unless I had a few drinks first.
That's called the swing oil.
There you go.
That's what that is.
Exactly right.
I did shoot I shot a 76 at Augusta.
Dude.
On my iPad. On the,
okay, I was about to say.
On my iPad.
He's the one, by the way, that turned me on. He was playing this game on his iPad. I'm like, that is the greatest game in the world.
It's WGT Golf.
WGT Golf.
It's the most addictive game in the world.
You needed just a little more of a pause there.
Right, yeah.
Before you said that, because his eyes
lit up. All right, but here's my question. How did you get the Augusta course? Because I have the courses. I'm trying to load more courses. Do you have to get to certain levels to have more courses access?
Yeah, you have to, exactly. Okay. So it'll update every, so many rounds, and then you get a chance to go update, and then you're adding, sometimes it's 9 holes of certain courses,
challenge,
18
all that kind of
challenges. Stuff. You can qualify for the virtual U.S. Open, which I'm trying to do right now, Trey.
Look at you.
So
this is awesome.
You guys are unbelievable.
You go to the clubhouse. I picked up a new driver a couple of days ago.
Some new golf balls to play with.
6,000 coins, whatever that means.
I'll jump in when we start talking about Fortnite. Okay.
No, there we go. Fortnite is awesome. So we Mike and I were talking about this earlier. We like the fact that later in their life, Tiger and Phil, they're like buddies now, but they hated each other for a while. And I remembered this. It was the year 2002 where, among other things, Tiger stared down Phil and others to win the U.S. Open that year, and they won a bunch of tournaments. And this was they were teeing off at the end of the tournament, at the end of the season tournament, the Tournament of Champions, the Tour Championship, and they were getting ready to tee off together in this round. And they, when you have special play, they introduce everybody on the first tee. Well, Tiger and Phil, 2002, paired together. This was the introduction, and they started with Tiger.
Ladies and gentlemen, your 12:55 tee time.
These 2 gentlemen are the only 2 in the field who have won the Tour Championship.
Winner of 34 PGA Tour events, including the 2002 Masters Tournament, the U.S. Open, the Bay Hill Invitational, the Buick Open, the American Express World Golf Championship.
All right.
That's so good. Phil was like, I get it, all right? He's better than me. Can we just play?
He's a pretty good golfer.
Phil
we
interrupting
understand.
the announcer. That is just hilarious.
And I think in that year, she was only like halfway through his wins that year.
That's amazing.
It was ridiculous. But he was just like, I get it now. Can we just move on? Can we just move on? All right, so let's move on. Dealer's choice, guest in studio. Would you rather talk about the NBA right now or Peyton Manning?
The NBA.
All right, let's talk about the NBA.
Come on.
First. All right, just want to make sure.
You guys giving me an hour? Let's get some NBA.
We'll get it all in. We had Jeff Van Gundy on last hour, and he said, although not convincingly in any way, shape, or form.
No, the second time we went around on that one, he really kind of backed off it a little bit.
He said Houston in 7, and then he said, although I could easily see Golden State in 5. Okay, so he did go with Houston in 7, and then he's also taking Boston. So where are you in what you think will be the eventual NBA Finals?
See, I'm actually having a harder time with the Boston-Cleveland pick. I'm going to pick Boston for several reasons, but the West, I'm very confident that Golden State's the best team, and I think that ultimately the firepower they have, where they can take it defensively when they're really good, and the personnel they have to play a team like Houston, I think they've got a better chance to slow them down just enough, more so than Houston does to Golden State, because there's a randomness about Golden State's offense because of the way they pass it. With Houston, it's going to come at you from one place on the floor, and it's going to come off a live dribble.
Right.
So now it's how do you defend that, and game after game after game, continue to make adjustments, and they've got the personnel to switch it, trap it. They can be prepared for one set, which is a high ball screen with James Harden, Chris Paul, and then whoever sets the pick. Golden State's different. I mean, the ball hops all over the floor and it ends up in the hands of one of the greatest shooters we've ever seen, and then a playmaker at the 4 spot in Draymond Green. So I just think Golden State has more, and that's why I'm confident Golden State's going to win that series in 6 games. The East is a lot harder for me to pick because of what LeBron's doing right now and the way he looks. Yeah. Maybe the best basketball I've ever seen him play.
Right.
I like Boston's defense and coaching, though.
Let's stay in the West for 1 second here, because Golden State has never lost 4 playoff games since Kevin Durant got there. So, I mean, the idea that Houston's going to win 4 for them seems far-fetched. However, all that being said, if they have any chance, they have to win Game 1, right? Game 1 has to go to Houston. Otherwise, that sort of specter of what Toronto felt about Cleveland is probably going to start snowballing, right?
Well, I think, it starts to set in a little bit, right? So you worked all year to get it, right, and then you give it up that fast. Toronto blowing a 10-point fourth-quarter lead in Game 1, the series was over because of what they had done to earn that spot. Just like that, you give home court to the best player in the series. Well, that's what Houston's going to feel like. It's already enough to have to deal with this team at all, but at least you have the advantage of getting him at home 4 times if it does go 7. If you give that up the first game, that could be very tough to recover from. I don't think it's impossible that both of these teams win on each other's courts because they have that kind of firepower offensively, and if they get it going, they can absolutely do that. But I think mentally, what you go through knowing you just spent 6 months earning something and then you give it right back the first game of the series, that is tough to overcome against a team like Golden State.
All right, so over in the East, you said we know how LeBron is playing, so I think a lot of it's going to be the consistency of his teammates. But as far as LeBron, when you talked about the other day about there's no more matchups because everybody just switches, and we saw that with Redick ended up on Al Horford a bunch of times. So can't Cleveland put themselves in a position to get the matchup that they want with LeBron? Why do you think Boston wins this entire series?
Well, number one, I think Boston has more guys that can guard LeBron and do a decent job at the point of attack and switch more so than Toronto or Indiana. They just have more guys that fall into that range, whether it's Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart, who can get into his lower body. He's a little bit shorter. Ojale, who guarded Antetokounmpo in that series, is another guy you might see more of in this series than you saw in Philly. Because in Philly, it was about chasing guys around the perimeter, trying to take away three-point shots off screens. That's not Ojale's game. Ojale's a guy that can get into a wrestling match with you, so you might see him more in this series. And even if you had to switch a guy like Al Horford, laterally, he's going to be okay in certain situations against LeBron, and certainly from a strength standpoint. So they've got more guys that if you had to switch, they can. But I think what you're going to see with Brad Stevens in Boston, they're going to selectively determine when they're going to take it out of his hands. I just kept waiting for Dwayne Casey and the Toronto Raptors at any point in that series, take it out of his hands with a blitz, a hard blitz, particularly when you get under 10 seconds in the shot clock, and he would just control the basketball and go anywhere he wanted to against single coverage. Brad Stevens is too good a coach to allow LeBron to get in that kind of comfort zone. Yeah. So you're going to see selective traps. You're going to see selective switching. You're going to see a lot of different guys get them straight up, and they're going to do similar thing to what they did to Philly. They're going to try to take Kevin Love's three-point shooting out, J.R. Smith's three-point shooting out. The rest of those guys have at it. Yeah. Jeff Green, Jordan Clarkson, Rodney Hood.
Korver.
Get in the game, Rodney Hood.
Well, Korver and Love and Smith, I guess, be more selective about those guys. But those other role players, have at it. If you can knock down threes to beat us, and we're not going to overreact to Jordan Clarkson making a couple or Jeff Green. Like I see teams do that with Houston where they say, PJ Tucker, have as many as you want in the corner. We're not going to leave these other guys.
Right.
you're going to have as many as you want. We're not rotating to you. And then he makes 2, and then the next time on the floor, they're flying to P.J. Tucker. Don't abandon that philosophy when you play Cleveland and Houston. Stick with it and see if those role players can beat you over the course of a series.
With that in mind, since we started this conversation talking about Phil and Tiger, I want you to listen, and that's kind of a lengthy thing, but I want to get your reaction to it on the back end, and then we got to go to break. But this was Tiger talking about what we've seen in LeBron in year 15.
Being great is doing something that, no one can do, but also what separates those people like LeBron or like what I'm thinking of with MJ or Gretzky, it's just the duration. They're able to do it for a number of years and accumulates highlights that, we will always look at. They're peppered in our memories. To dominate something is one thing. Every player out here can have one good week, and blow away the field. Okay, great. Now, can you do it for a month? Can you do it for a year? Now, do it for a decade. And in our sport, there's been a few guys who've had runs where they've lasted for well over a decade and into 2, and that's what separates greatness. And
your thoughts on what you heard there?
No, he's right. Yeah. I mean, it's and LeBron. That's why I really at times so far this postseason I haven't really been able to process what I'm watching.
Yeah, it's crazy.
How can he be better than he's been? How can he look better physically? I've always described LeBron James as having a force field around him because of the way he can carry guys to the rim off a live dribble and not be affected. As a result, he's the most difficult guy, I think, in the history of the league to officiate. I think he and Shaq probably, because they play through contact better than anyone. So it's hard to know how much did that dislodge him. So a lot of stuff gets let go. To think that he's shooting the ball the way that he is, that he's this comfortable mentally, that he's processing the floor and seeing everything the way that he is. At this stage of his career, with all that he's already done, to still be this hungry and to be able to come through time and time again. I know it's a flawed East. I don't care. I did not see this team having any shot whatsoever to make the NBA Finals. And now, look, it's a 50-50 call with the Boston Celtics to get there.
But that's completely the kicker. If he was doing this during the prime of his career, it'd all be like, well, that's just LeBron being great. 15th year, the age of 33? Yeah. It's crazy. It's not supposed to be happening.
He's changing the conversation about himself, even though I think none of us think he has a chance to win a title. That's the amazing thing about what we're doing.
Hey everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for the Golic Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS consumeraccess.org number 3030.
I'm a one-trick pony. Literally. I show up at kids' parties and act cute. That's pretty much it. So excuse me for being bitter. When Geico says not only could we save you money on car insurance, but we do more. Like give you 24/7 access online, over the phone, or even via our award-winning mobile app. Well, ooh la la. Aren't they multi-talented? Hey, I said organic carrots.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio, ESPN News, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. We'll get to the Peyton Manning story in a second, but I do want to get, as Tim Legler is here with us in studio, the idea that the coaches, all the coaches in the NBA voted on their Coach of the Year award, and not one person voted for Brad Stevens. How is that even possible?
I don't know. I don't understand it. I really don't know. I mean, that's the kind of thing, because it's a coach's poll, you'd have to talk to those other guys and find out, is there resentment? Is it because this guy came from college and they're sticking together with the lifetime pros? Like, I don't know how that's possible, because for me, Brad Stevens doesn't take a backseat to any coach in this league. Now, I love Dwayne Casey.
Yeah.
And absolutely, he's going to be in the running for Coach of the Year when the actual awards come out.
Right.
For me, I thought the Coach of the Year this particular season was Nate McMillan. I had that team penciled in for 22 to 25 wins.
Right.
I have no idea how they pulled off what they did. And then even take a team like Cleveland to 7 games. And then you look at Cleveland go sweep the number 1 seed in the next round, even speaks more about the job that Nate McMillan did in that team. So Coach of the Year is this particular team. What did you do with them? My vote would have gone to Nate McMillan this year. Casey's obviously in that mix, but Brad Stevens, I mean, year after year, game in, game out, Brad Stevens takes a backseat to nobody in this league.
Well, we'll obviously keep talking about him and his team going forward because they're still playing. But how about Casey and how about Brett Brown? Two guys, Casey really talking about should he lose his job. Brett Brown, could he possibly lose his job? Do you think either one should lose their job?
No, actually, in both cases, I'd say no. And you know me, in the past, I haven't had a problem saying when I think a guy hasn't done a great job.
Right.
Hasn't maybe the most popular guy with some of the coaches, but in this particular case, no. If I look at Toronto, I say top 5 in the league on both ends of the floor. Only 2 teams did it, Houston and Toronto. So the team is prepared. They execute. They play hard most of the time when I watch them. For me, theirs is more of a personnel problem. Their best players can't elevate themselves to a level they need to in the postseason that all of these other teams that play in conference finals and finals have. They just don't have guys. Their elevators don't go to that floor. Other teams have guys on that level. They do not. So to me, it's more of a personnel problem than it is a coaching problem. And in the case of Brett Brown, this was a team that was the laughingstock of the league just 2 years ago.
Correct.
So to go and play a competitive series. Now, look, there are things we can point to in this series that I would question about the way they handled things, particularly some of their game management late. Mm-hmm. But I also think part of it's because they don't have a true point guard on that team. And that's how you manage late game situations. So that hurt them in 2 different games in this series. They didn't close out. Or maybe right now we're talking about 7-game series in Philly-Boston. Game 3 at home.
They were up 20.
They blew 4 different times.
Yeah.
And then even last night, some of the possessions they had late in that game, Boston made plays, Philly did not, and some of it came down to what they were running. And is that Brett Brown? Yeah, but it's also the limitations of guys on his team. So where the ball has to go in certain situations. That's why you're posting up Dario Saric out of a timeout in a tie game rather than put the ball in Ben Simmons' hand and let him go make a play because of his limitations as a scorer outside the lane.
All right, so let me ask you this. Switch coaches. How does that series change? If Brad Stevens is on the Sixers and Brett Brown is running the Celtics.
Oh, man, that's tough because of how the Celtics players connect to Brad Stevens. So would they have the same connection to Brett Brown?
Yes.
Probably. He's a personable guy. So, yeah, probably would flip.
Probably would flip.
I think Brad Stevens is right now maybe the best coach in the NBA.
So you said the 76ers don't have a point guard. What are you doing with Ben Simmons?
Where's the thing? What I mean by that is this.
A true point guard.
He hasn't played point guard his whole life. Right. So he hasn't. He's up to me when they said he was going to play point going into the season. I said, well, he's not going to play point. He's going to be a ball handling forward, which is a luxury, like a LeBron, like a Draymond Green, like an Antetokounmpo, but not a point guard. Well, I was wrong. They made him the actual point guard. He brings it up after dead balls. He brings it up off rebounds. The ball's outletted to him. Problem is he has limitations in his game that other guys on that level that play point in this league don't have. I mean, I could name you right now 10, 12, 15 top-tier point guards.
Right.
They can hit a 3 if they need to hit a 3.
That's what Mike was saying earlier. He didn't take a shot outside of the contested area of the paint.
Yeah.
I mean,
and as a result,
try.
Your offense is really limited in those situations. Like even last night, it's late in the game. I don't remember the exact situation. Maybe tied. Maybe they're down a bucket. They come up the floor. What does Ben Simmons do? He gets the ball in the hands of J.J. Redick to then run a 2-man game or enter the ball into the post. Like, isn't that what a guy on that level that plays point is supposed to do? Like, Magic wasn't coming down and running a dribble handoff of Byron Scott and running to the corner. So Ben Simmons, with all the great things he does, he is not a natural point guard. And if he doesn't address his inability to score outside the lane, they're going to have problems managing late game offense. They just are. You can't always throw it into the post in that situation. Sometimes you need a guard to make a play from a face-up position. And if that means make a 3 because a guard went under the pick, then you have to do that. And right now, that's just not what he's capable of doing.
Can he get there, though? Can he become that?
I'm concerned about some things when I watch his shooting mechanics. Like his hand placement with both hands is really poor, and I don't know if that's ever going to change. It would take a dramatic 4 or 5 month off season of just with the right guy and in the gym every day and the commitment to do it. I hope that he sees that as something he really needs, not only for his own game so he can reach his full potential. His team needs him to be a threat other than inside of 10 feet because they already got a guy that's dominating that area of the floor.
Joel.
So it makes it a little crowded at times. So I'm not saying, look, you use 6'10", you get to the rim, you be Ben Simmons. A lot of the things he does are so unique to him, but man, would it be nice to see him make an 18-foot shot, make a 3 occasionally. if that's what the defense dictates, because I think their offense late in the game would open up. And now I see them as a more viable threat to close out close games, which they lost 2 in this series.
Yeah, Tim Legler with us for the remainder of the show. We'll get back to more basketball in a minute, but we wanted to get to this story. Peyton Manning might be coming back to the NFL.
How about this?
As a part owner.
There you go.
Charleston billionaire Ben Navarro has reached out to Peyton Manning about joining his ownership group that is bidding on the Carolina Panthers. This in the Charlotte Observer, according to a couple of sources they have. Manning is still considering the offer to become a limited partner, who spoke on condition, one of the sources of anonymity because of the confidential nature of the Panthers sale. This does not surprise you, Mike.
No,
in any
no.
way, shape. This is when people look, we made a run at him, and everybody made a run at him to be in the broadcast booth. But anybody that knows Peyton knows since the day he retired, he wants to be what John Elway is.
Oh, I agree, because he's been approached by like the Cleveland Browns reports about
Jimmy
the
Haslam,
front office there. Certainly, I'm sure the Colts would have a long thought process about that as well. But these guys like Derek Jeter, the minority partial ownership. These guys, in all the money they made, they can't afford to be the majority ownership of these guys. They don't start with B's,
right?
They're still in the M's,
no doubt.
Where the owners have the B's, the billions of dollars.
That's what Chris Rock always used to say, right? Difference between rich and wealthy.
Yeah,
like rich is Shaq money, and wealthy's the guy that cuts that check.
Exactly, that's exactly right.
That's exactly right.
So Peyton doing
that
this
was good.
Peyton doing this wouldn't be a shock. I think this is where he wants to go. I would imagine in most cases, now a lot of it's a money thing when you can be a partial owner, but if you would rather be involved in the game, would you like to be involved in the game as a general manager or a coach? I mean, I guess it comes down to what you want to do. General manager, obviously there's more responsibilities, but would you miss that everyday coach thing? But I don't think anybody thought he wanted to be a coach at all.
Right.
He wants to be in that decision-making process.
Right. It comes down to what your temperament is, and what, for me, it would be coach. Because I miss the competition more than anything, and knowing that I have a direct impact on a game-to-game basis of what's going on. GM, those guys are obviously critical. They put together the team, but they're not managing it
day to
possession by possession, play by play, snap by snap, trying to figure out a way to get a win. To me, that is what a lot of athletes really crave. But I think, it's a lot less stress going up and sitting up in the owner's box too, during the games, knowing you put a team together without having the pressure of making
and then it also comes down to, like, Elway, was making the decision.
Right.
So if Peyton were a part owner, would it be to be the face of the team? Or would it be a decision maker of that team, like a GM?
He loves football so much.
Yeah.
I think he wants to be like the owner part is great, but he wants to be involved.
I would think so as well.
Knowing Peyton, whenever he does, he's involved.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing he just says, yeah, sure, you guys handle it. Not his personality in any way, shape, or form. All right.
AARP can help you become your healthiest self. It's why we offer health tips for your body and your brain. So take on today and every day with AARP. Learn how at takeontoday.aarp.
Danzig, research that.
Yeah,
get on it.
Somebody.
Find research producer. Find it out. Figure it out.
Brett is so offended right now. He's already got a note that you didn't invite him to share.
Oh, it was a Golic went with the AA. It's like an Excel document.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
That was it? Really?
That was it. Really? Smiling, you asked me. That was it.
Right.
I didn't ask to be on
He's
the
just
air.
always at the ready. We didn't say he was at the ready to do something good. Sports Center brought to you by Goodyear. Playoff time is when things get serious on the court. In the playoffs, players are more driven to win these big games and keep advancing. Goodyear knows all about being more driven as well, working hard to help you advance on and off the road. Order your Goodyear tires from a local dealer near you.
Brett would like to chime in now. Brett, you have something to add?
I was just saying it's a 10-dog set you guys got there, which is
10 dogs.
Very nice.
Again,
Very nice.
Legs has 5.
That's
I have
unbelievable.
3. You have 2.
Yeah. I thought 2 was good, and you guys have both trumped me. Man.
Well, I mean, once you start going multiple dogs, it doesn't matter.
That's what we kept saying that. What's the difference between 2 and 3? Yeah, if you got 3, you might as well have 4.
I thought that way with kids. 2, you could still go man to man, but once you have the third, you're in zone. So 3, 4, 5
never go
doesn't
straight
matter.
zone. Never go straight zone. Now, but your dogs were a Jack Russell Terrier,
Jack Russell, full bred, yeah,
Shih Tzu,
full bred Shih Tzu. And then the other 3 are all of them. The biggest dog we have is 24 pounds.
Ah, okay. See,
wow.
I have 2 labs, okay?
You know
so
why?
my 2
we
dogs
just travel
probably
too
weigh
much.
more than your 5 dogs.
Yeah, there's no question. We travel so much, it's nice to have the little ones you just throw in the car.
Right.
Take them anywhere.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair. All right, Timmy Legler here with us to finish out the show. We went through 3 loaded questions earlier.
Okay.
We got 3 more left, so let's fire through these real quickly, or as much time as it takes. You guys ready?
Yep.
All right, we started talking about this actually in what we would do on the 17th hole at TPC, but the over-under at 50.5 golf balls that will end up in the water on the 17th hole this week. Now, over the last 15 years, 47.5 balls in the water is the average. Last year, there were 69 balls.
So over under 50 off of, 137-yard shot.
I think there's only one way to do this, though.
I'm going over.
Yeah, I'm taking the over on that also.
I'm going over. Again, we had Nota Began there, talked about wind being the factor, obviously, and just the fact that when you walk up and there's water, which would affect hacks like us easily when you see water. It's like my ball's a magnet for the water. But these guys are pros. You would think it wouldn't affect them the way it does.
I can only imagine. I mean, I shot a 67 at St. Andrews on my iPad the other day.
There you go.
Let me tell you something,
though.
Is. The wind was kicking up. It was 16 miles an hour in my face with cyber wind the entire time. Try playing in that. Try playing in that.
All right, here's I did the right thing here. I looked up what the wind is going to be. It's light today. Saturday and Sunday, it's going to be like 13, 14 miles an hour. That could affect things. I'm going to take the over. Because of the wind. The wind, if it was calm, I'd say I'd take the under, but I think there's going to be a little wind, so I'll take the over. Okay, the Mets got off to a great start this season. They were one of the best teams in baseball until I told Bubba they really weren't, and the Red Sox were, and now we all know the Yankees are. And then the Mets imploded. Matt Harvey is no longer a Met, and yesterday they put in the wrong lineup and really cost themselves a game by batting out of order in the first inning of that game.
Mm-hmm.
So if the Mets' 2018 season had a smell, it would be...
Wow! Already, I mean,
what would the smell of the Mets season?
They are still only one. They are one game above 500.
They started 12-2, but they've lost 8 of their last 9.
It's starting to go bad. I'll say the smell is like a concert after the first 3 songs, bathroom.
Wow.
The bathroom.
Wow.
Just after the first 3 songs, not the end of the concert when it gets really rank, but just the first 3 songs when it's starting to get there, when the smell is starting to get bad.
Have you met David the tweeter who needs toilet paper? Yeah, you two should get together.
I'm going to go more with a taste.
Okay.
Grapefruit.
Okay, a little bitter.
When it first goes in your mouth, right? It's citrusy, it's fruit. You think it's going to be good. But then it just completely ruins everything.
Wow, that's pretty good.
I call it a bully food. It takes over the whole bowl.
It does, and it will. You will know when you've had a grapefruit. That doesn't sneak.
Pretty good one right there. I like that.
I'm going to go with the smell of cheese that's been out on the shelf for about an hour longer than it should be. It's not hasn't been refrigerated. Right. It's not moldy yet, but it's in the process of getting there. And any Met fan knows where this season is ending. Where this season's ending. The mold isn't on the cheese yet, but we've begun that process.
I'm going to tell you what, I like all our answers. We went grapefruit, bathroom, and cheesy cheese.
Well, the show started with talking us how we're really not playing at our best today, and we're finishing the show the exact same way. Okay, then there's this. Kurt Warner admitted that he texted a coach last year saying this year, that he has 1 season left in him. I think it was last year. It was last year. At 47, he was going to do it for this coming season. So he talked to a coach, and he said he could have 1 more season in him. Rafael Palmeiro is playing Major League Baseball at 53. International League, independent league
with his son, right?
So who do you think would have more success, Warner in the NFL at 47, or Rafi if he got back to the bigs at 53?
I was going to say we have to clarify that because the independent league is going to be different. And again, Rafi's doing it to play with his son, so I kind of get that. He's 53. Kurt Warner going back to the NFL. So if we're talking about Rafi in the bigs and Kurt Warner in the NFL, I would absolutely go Kurt Warner in the NFL.
No question.
Because he's got a line in front of him. I mean, get rid of the ball.
Right.
Rafi, when you're in that batter's box, you can't hide anywhere. I mean, it's you and the pitcher in big league pitching when you're 53 years old.
Hold on.
No shot.
Minnie Minoso pinch hit in the majors until he was in his 70s or 80s. I would absolutely go Palmeiro.
No
here.
way. The hardest thing to do in sports is to hit a baseball.
Correct.
Now you want a 53-year-old to do it with Major League pitching?
All he has to do is be a DH. He doesn't have to be in the field.
I don't
just
care.
DH and take a couple of hacks a game.
No shot.
I've had guys that play in the major leagues that are friends of mine that tell me the difference between hitting a 93-mile-an-hour fastball and 96 is incomprehensible. How much harder that is. Yes. So now, take a guy that's 53, you lose just a little bit of your timing or your reaction time. You've got no shot at 53 to hit.
I'm taking Palmeiro. I love Kurt Warner.
Kurt Warner, you're going screens and bubble screens and hitch routes.
Or just get a great line in a running game and hand the ball off all night.
You guys are crazy.
Oh, you're nuts.
I love Kurt. So you think Kurt could play 4 quarters?
Yes, Kirk could play 4 quarters.
It's all about managing the game plan, buddy.
Do you see how Tom Brady does when there's a rush? Kurt will do the same thing. Get the hell down, man. Live to fight another play.
Well, Brady and Manning perfected that.
Yes.
I would go with Rafael Palmeiro all day. We'll see what happens.
Start drinking again.
Well, the show's over, so there we go. Legs, thanks for being with us.
Appreciate it, man.
Next time, come do the show when we're not completely hungover. See ya.